That's not a good shot. Wait. No, no. Oh my God. He hit it from the logo. What the hell just happened? The arena went dead for half a second, just half a second, before it exploded. Steph Curry had just pulled up from 38 feet in overtime with no play drawn up and buried it like it was a free throw. The scoreboard flipped. Warriors 121, Thunder 118. Game over. The entire Warriors bench rushed the court. Clay's mouth dropped open. Steve Kerr didn't even react for a moment, just stared like he'd seen a ghost. On the other side, Kevin Durant stood frozen near half court, hands on hips, eyes wide. Russell Westbrook slowly turned and walked away like he couldn't believe what he just witnessed. And Draymond Green? He admitted later, I thought we lost. I was ready to blame myself. Then that shot. Man, I couldn't believe it was real. It wasn't just the distance. It was the confidence. Steph didn't even glance at the clock. He didn't look for a pass. He dribbled once, stopped at the logo, and launched like he'd been practicing it every day for years, which he had. The shot didn't just win a game. It broke the internet. Within minutes, Twitter melted down. That's not basketball. That's witchcraft. Steph Curry just made the craziest shot I've ever seen. How do you guard that? Even NBA legends started tweeting. Magic Johnson. That shot was pure magic. Steph is changing the game before our eyes. Shaq. Can't lie. I didn't think it would go in. But with him, anything's possible. But the wildest part? Curry didn't celebrate like he just hit the shot of the year. He just turned around. Calm. Almost cold. Bit his mouth guard. Nodded once. And jogged to the tunnel like he knew. Like he always knew. That's what made it chilling. You could see it in Kevin Durant's face. This wasn't just another game winner. This was a message. A shift. A warning to the rest of the league. The game just changed. Analyst Jalen Rose said it best. He didn't just beat OKC. He broke them. He broke how we think about distance, pressure, and logic in basketball. It wasn't about a buzzer beater. It was about fearlessness. Steph Curry had just done something no one else even thought was possible. Not with the game on the line. Not from that far. Not without even flinching. And somehow, he made it look easy. This was the night the world stopped laughing at the skinny kid with the baby face. This was the night people started whispering something scary. He might be the greatest shooter in NBA history. And as the tunnel swallowed him whole, with the crowd still roaring behind him, Steph didn't look back. He didn't have to. The whole world was already watching. Who even is this skinny kid? He's getting clamped. Oh, wait. Did he just drop 3 in a row? Nah, this is different. It was supposed to be just another regular season game. No Clay, no Draymond, no big lights for the Warriors. And the Madison Square Garden crowd? They were already laughing during warm-ups. Light work tonight, one fan chuckled. We got a kid with bad ankles and a baby face leading this team. But that night in New York, just days after he stunned OKC from the logo, Steph Curry walked into the mecca of basketball and gave the world a second warning. This time louder. He dropped 54 points and didn't even look tired. In the first half, he shook off rough defense and nailed 3 after 3. But it was the third quarter that changed everything. Curry hit 5 straight shots, deep threes, floaters, crossovers, and fadeaways. The Knicks crowd, once mocking, was now on its feet. The tone shifted. It wasn't jokes anymore. It was awe. Steph was in that rare zone. His eyes locked, his body loose. Every shot left his fingers like it had already decided where to land. Even the Madison Square Garden security guard standing courtside whispered. It felt like Jordan walked in wearing 30. And sitting on the baseline, Del Curry tried to stay calm. But after the 11th three, he leaned forward, took off his glasses, and wiped his eyes. His son had arrived. Steph didn't say a word. No chest thumps. No finger pointing. He just kept walking back on defense like it was practice. Like this was overdue. After the game, a reporter asked, "Did you know you had 54?" Steph smiled barely. Nah, I just knew the rim felt big. But in that smile, there was more. For years, he'd heard the noise. Too small. Too fragile. Won't survive in the league. This night, in the most iconic arena in basketball, he shut all of it up. Twitter exploded. LeBron James tweeted, "Curry is a problem. A big problem." That tweet went viral. So did Steph. Nike executives watching the game reportedly panicked. They'd passed on him. Now, their phones were buzzing with regret. Steph Curry wasn't just a good shooter anymore. He was box office. That night didn't give him a trophy, but it gave him something more important. Respect. Real, earned, national respect. In the tunnel postgame, a kid yelled, "You're my favorite player now." Steph turned and simply nodded, because for the first time the world saw him, not as a role player, not as Del Curry's son, not as the guy with bad ankles, but as something scarier, a future legend in the making. And that fire? It didn't dim. It only got hotter, because the next time he stepped on the court, he wasn't done shocking the world. He should retire, man. He's washed. Wait, why is he still smiling in warm-ups like that? What's he planning? They said he was done. Too old. Too fragile. Too much time off. He had missed most of the 2020 season with a broken hand, and the NBA world had moved on. Lakers on top, new stars rising, and the whispers grew louder. Curry can't carry a team. Not without Clay. Not anymore. But on January 3rd, 2021, Steph Curry walked back onto the hardwood. Not to prove anyone wrong. Just to remind them who the hell he was. The opponent? Portland Trail Blazers. The mission? Impossible. The crowd? Silent, thanks to COVID protocols. But the fire? Loud as ever. From the tip-off, there was something different in his eyes. Controlled rage. Peaceful confidence. Every dribble had weight. Every movement, purpose. Then he started scoring. Step back three. Floater. Logo three. Fast break reverse. Another three. And another. And another. By the time he hit 45 points, Damian Lillard, his opponent and fellow star, just looked at the bench and shook his head like he was watching a storm hit. "He's back," one Warriors assistant whispered, unable to sit still. Steph didn't even celebrate. He just kept going. 62 points. Career high. At age 32. Right after injury. With no all-star teammate on the floor. Only him. The court. The doubt. And a response. After the buzzer, Steph walked off with his hands raised. Not wild, not arrogant, but grateful. Like a man who just finished a war he never asked for, but refused to lose. In the locker room, he FaceTimed his mom. She answered in tears. "You still got it, baby," she cried. Steph choked up. "They said I was done, Mom." That's what they said. Steve Kerr watched from the tunnel before speaking to the media. His voice cracked. "I've seen some great games. But tonight, I almost cried." He reminded the world why we believe in him. And the world? The world didn't just believe. It bowed. "He's back," trended #1 on Twitter. Former haters deleted old tweets. Analysts said, "This is what greatness looks like after injury." But Steph wasn't finished. Later that night, he posted a single photo to Instagram. No caption. Just him, tucking himself in a bed on the sideline, pretending to sleep. Night-night, a quiet message to everyone who doubted him. To everyone who laughed at the idea of a comeback. This wasn't just a scoring night. It was a rebirth. A reminder that greatness doesn't age. It just reloads. And as the next game loomed, one thing was clear. You could count Curry out, but you could never count him done. There's no way he's making that. He's joking. Wait. He turned around before it went in. He did what? The ball hadn't even touched the net, and Steph Curry was already walking away. Arms relaxed, head turned, smiling like he knew something the world didn't. Because he did. He always does. This wasn't Game 7. It wasn't even regulation. Just a warm-up session. Empty seats. No spotlight. No pressure. But for Steph, pressure isn't what brings magic. Joy is. He stood at the far end of the tunnel, full court, crowd murmur in the background, and launched a shot that most players wouldn't even try in a video game. It floated, curved, hung in the air like a question, and swished. No rim, no bounce, no second try. The arena crew gasped. One of the ball boys dropped the rack of basketballs. And the cameraman? His voice cracked as he whispered, "Did you get that?" Even though his hands were shaking so hard, he nearly dropped the camera. Steph turned back, grinning like a kid who just got away with something outrageous. Because he had. Within minutes, the clip hit Twitter. Within hours, it hit global headlines. By nightfall, it had over 50 million views and counting. Even people who didn't know basketball shared it. Kids in Kenya. teenagers in Tokyo, grandparents in Kansas. No one could believe it was real. One comment said, "He didn't just make a shot. He made joy feel contagious again." Another said, "My 8-year-old son just asked if magic is real now." But the comment that changed everything? It came from a young boy named Ian, blind since birth, who heard the clip with audio description. He sent a voice note that went viral. "I can't see Steph Curry, but when I heard the crowd scream and the ball hit nothing but net, it felt like I was flying. It made me feel like magic exists." Steph's team played it for him. He paused, closed his eyes, and said, "That's why I do it. That's what this game is about." It wasn't about going viral. It wasn't about fame. It was about believing in fun, in moments, in the impossible. Even NBA players couldn't believe it. Trae Young tweeted, "That's sorcery." Kevin Durant replied, "Steph different. Always has been." The NBA had seen deep threes before. But this was joy weaponized. This was a man so locked into his craft, he could make the world gasp and never look back to watch it land. Even a soldier overseas wrote, "That video reminded me why fight, for moments like that, for joy like that, for something bigger than just survival." And when Steph was asked what the secret was, he just smiled and shrugged. "I'm just having fun. That's what I do." And somehow that fun, it echoed across continents. "You're not built for this moment, Steph. You can't carry a team alone. Wanna bet?" Game 4, 2022 NBA Finals. Boston crowd roaring. Warriors down 2-1 in the series. Every analyst circling the same sentence. This is Steph's legacy on the line. They were talking about shooting records, or MVPs, or tunnel shots. They were talking about that one missing piece, Finals MVP. And as the Celtics pushed the lead, the whispers came back louder. "He can't carry a team. He fades under pressure. This is why he needs help." But on that night, Steph Curry didn't hear the noise. He heard the challenge, and he answered it with 43 points, every single one heavy with meaning. He attacked the rim, danced around defenders, pulled up from impossible angles, hit back-breaking threes with a fire in his eyes that said, "I'm still here." After one step-back three over Al Horford, he turned, screamed, and pounded his chest. The emotions spilled over. For the first time, even Celtics fans stood up, not in anger, but respect. On the bench, Draymond leaned forward and muttered to no one in particular. He shut the world up tonight. When the final buzzer sounded, the scoreboard read, Warriors 107, Celtics 97. Series tied 2-2. And Steph? He didn't raise his arms. He didn't jump. He collapsed. Right there at half court, he crouched, face in his hands, shoulders shaking, crying, in front of everyone. It wasn't the scoreboard that broke him. It was the weight of every doubt he'd ever carried. Steve Kerr put a hand on his shoulder. Klay Thompson wiped his own tears. Even the broadcast team went silent for a full 15 seconds. It was history, silent, raw, unforgettable. After the game, a reporter asked, "Was this about the trophy?" Steph looked up, eyes still red. "No," he whispered. "This wasn't for a trophy. This was for peace." In Game 6, the Warriors closed the series. Steph finally raised the Finals MVP trophy. It shimmered, but he didn't stare at it. He stared at the tunnel, until two tiny figures ran toward him. His kids. They leapt into his arms. "Daddy, you won." He kissed their foreheads, eyes watering again. "I already won the moment I saw you," he said. That image, Steph holding his children, Finals MVP in one hand, tears in both eyes, became the symbol of something bigger than basketball. It was never about proving he was great. It was about quietly becoming undeniable, no matter how long it took. For years, they used that missing award as a weapon. Now the world finally said, "He's complete." And Steph, he looked into the cameras, smiled gently, and said 4 words that echoed louder than any buzzer beater ever had. "This one means everything."